The Ghana Statistical Service has released the price index and inflation data for May 2025. Ghana's headline inflation declined to 18.4% in May 2025, down from 21.2% in April 2025 and 23.1% in May 2024, marking the lowest rate since February 2022. The month-on-month inflation for May 2025 was 0.7%, down from 0.8% in April 2025. The May 2025 inflation figures represents a decline in year-on-year inflation by 2.8 percentage points from the April 2025 inflation rate of 21.2%. It also represents a 4.7 percentage point drop over the 12-month period from May 2024 inflation of 23.1%, signaling a sustained disinflation process. I must also say that the May inflation figures is the fifth consecutive decline in year-on-year inflation we have seen. It is also the sixth consecutive decline in month-on-month inflation and is the lowest year-on-year inflation rate since February 2022. This is a clear signal that price stability is returning to our economy. I'm Dr. Alhassan Iddrisu, the Government Statistician of the Republic of Ghana. Let me take this opportunity to provide some more color on the May 2025 inflation numbers. Core inflation, that is inflation excluding volatile items such as energy, utilities, and volatile food in the inflation basket, eased to 18.5% in May 2025, down from 19.5% in April 2025, signaling moderation in underlying inflationary pressures. Food inflation fell to 22.8% from 25% in April 2025, whilst non-food inflation declined sharply to 14.4% from 17.9% in April 2025. Goods inflation remained high at 20.1%, though it declined by 1.7 percentage points from April 2025 goods inflation. I must also emphasize that goods inflation contributed about 79% to the overall inflation of 18.4% in May 2025. Services inflation was lower at 14.3%, down from 15.2% in April 2025. Inflation for locally produced goods dropped more than that for imported goods. Inflation for locally produced goods and services dropped by 3.5 percentage points to 19.2% in May 2025 from 22.7% in April 2025, whilst inflation for imported items dropped by 1.3 percentage points to 16.4% from 17.7% in April 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, top inflation contributors for the month of May 2025 include yam, smoked herrings, fish, vegetable oil, and ginger, most of which are food items. Regional disparities persist, although 15 out of the 16 regions recorded year-on-year inflation declines. The Upper West region recorded the highest inflation at 38.1%, with high food, education, and utilities inflation. The Ahafo region posted the lowest inflation at 14.5%. The overall inflation trend we are seeing shows sustained disinflation, possibly influenced by factors including the strengthened Ghana cedi in recent times, the tighter monetary policy operated by the central bank, the fiscal consolidation measures the Ministry of Finance is implementing, positive external conditions, and also the positive market sentiment that the country is enjoying. The Ghana Statistical Service remains cautiously optimistic that this trajectory will continue, offering relief to households and creating a more stable environment for businesses and investors. Based on the May 2025 inflation data, the GSS would like to recommend that households should adopt bulk purchasing, shared food buying, and consider local in-season produce to reduce food costs. We'd also like to recommend for households to prioritize preventive care and take advantage of national health insurance benefits to avoid high out-of-pocket expenses. For businesses, we'd like to recommend that they should avoid sharp price hikes and rather build customer trust through transparent pricing reflecting the favorable market conditions we're observing, given the disinflation process. We would also like to recommend that businesses should source locally as part of measures to reduce their cost pressures. For government, we recommend that it should continue to support the macroeconomic policies that keep the cedi stable, reinforcing the disinflation process. In addition, government should continue to protect the vulnerable and then the poor through expansion of targeted social protection in high inflation regions and sectors, especially where food and education costs are rising. We'd also like to recommend for government to implement targeted intervention in food logistics, utilities, and education access in high inflation regions, including the Upper West region, which is recording high inflation above 38% in the May 2025 inflation readings. Finally, but not the least, we would like to recommend for government and the central bank to align monetary and fiscal policies through effective collaboration between the bank and the Ministry of Finance to monitor inflation drivers and inform decisions on monetary policy rate by real sector, fiscal sector, and monetary sector outcomes. Let me take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to our cherished listeners for listening to us all the time on developments on inflation and CPI, and also to the hard-working staff of the Ghana Statistical Service who made this work possible. Thank you very much.